Hi there, Sandra here from Createinspain. Today's project is a little bit of an experiment because I'm using some slightly different materials, so bear with me. I think it could be quite interesting. Okay, so the first two things that I have here are some pieces of vinyl. This one is a very nice soft pink. They're both Siser ones. This one is like a rose gold, glossy rose gold, and it's very, very pretty. So I thought I would do something with a Mother's Day theme. Now I've weeded out my design. I've got some transfer tape here, so I'm going to transfer it from here onto the other part of the design. So this has the cutout with a very, very small offset on it. I might move that tiny little strip there. I think it probably got shifted where I weeded it. There, I think that's better. First of all, I have a circular piece of card and I'm going to put this on here. Now my card has got a pattern on the other side and plain on this side, which is as I want it. That is my design on here. So what I'm actually doing is making a kind of key fob, luggage tag, whatever. But I'm not doing it out of the usual materials. I bought some of this, just a plastic. Now this is the heaviest version that I could get and it's quite nice. It's the sort of stuff that you would make pencil cases from, wash bags perhaps, makeup bags. And indeed that's why I bought it, to make some bags, because they're fun things to do and I think it's great fun to sew plastic. It's just something different. But it's a relatively thick one and you can of course cut it with your cutting machine. So I cut these on my Juliet. Now you'll notice there are lots of tiny little holes. I haven't even bothered to weed those. Now the thing is, I actually have a sewing machine and I could sew this on my sewing machine quite easily. I have a non-stick foot which will allow me to sew plastics. But I do realise that a lot of people do not have, I've got a lump on my card, typical. A lot of people do not have a sewing machine, and if they do, they still might not have a foot that can be used to sew plastics. So I actually did tiny little 1mm holes on here, but I've not bothered to weed it. I mean, trying to weed 1mm holes out here would be quite difficult. And there's no great need to do it. So what I'm going to do is to put this in here, match it up with the other piece, and I did actually do it so that the holes should match. One direction certainly, and they will match the holes. Not that direction by the looks of it. Let's try that way around. I think that's going to be it. So the holes actually match up, and the idea is that you can take a normal sewing needle, just a manual sewing needle, and you can sew these pieces together with a decorative thread if you've got one, or just with a normal coloured thread, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So when you start to sew this together, start it at this end. Make sure you have enough thread to go all the way around, because this end isn't going to really show a great deal, because it's going to be folded over like that, and I'm going to put a popper on it to close it all up properly. Now you can leave this out of the way for the time being. You might want, I mean, if you had this on a sticky mat, you might want to wipe this over with some rubbing alcohol to make sure you've got nothing on the inside of it, just to make sure, because you know what plastics are like. So I started this off and I started it there, did a couple of back stitches, and what I'm doing now is just a simple running stitch, and I find one hole and then find the other hole, and I'm just going to work my way around, and then you can make it a little bit easier, I would think, because it's going to be separated by the piece of card, which is going to slot in like so. And I'm just going to go round until I finish the entire thing. At this point I actually put a few little confetti bits in. They're just little shiny bits. I think they're supposed to be for nail decoration, but they're quite fun, quite pretty, so I put a few of those in, but not very many because I didn't want to obscure too much of the design. Okay, so what I'm going to do is use these little press studs in order to close it up. So if I fold over this piece to the back so that it doesn't show, put it down onto a piece of foam, and I want to make a hole about there, I think. And I want that hole to go right the way through all the layers of the plastic. So that's going to ensure that I've got my popper stud in the correct place for each piece. So on this side, it's going to have this bit, and then one of the other popper pieces. And you use one of these popper setters to do this, and just squeeze tight. And that should, yeah, that certainly feels like it's in place. I'll give it another squeeze just to make sure, but I think that's done just fine. There we go. And on the other end of it, use this cap. So both the caps go on the right side of it, as it were. And then that part goes into there. And again, center it up and give a really good squeeze. And there we have it. Our press stud is done, and we have our little key fob, so you can put that onto a keychain, or it could be used as a luggage tag, anything like that. And I think that's really quite cute. So there we go, something a little bit different, and showing you that you can cut something a little bit different with your cutting machine as well. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I will put a link to the file down below. You can resize it if you want to make them bigger. It's just a fun little thing to do. Thanks for watching.